After a long waiting season, I finally got to play Where Winds Meets Closed Beta Test, but how does it compare to games like Ghost of Yotei and Ghost of Tsushima, and is it worth it for fans of those or similar series? How's it going, guys? Mike here, and I want to share my thoughts and experience after playing Where Winds Meets Closed Beta Test, as well as whether or not it can compete with Ghost of Yotei. But before we get into that, if you're new to my channel, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss a video. Now, first I want to say off the bat, the biggest thing that Where Winds Meet has in common with Ghost of Tsushima is that they're both based off of actual historical events. In Where Winds Meet's case, it's set during the chaotic 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms sometime after the fall of the Tang Dynasty. However, compared to Ghost of Yotei and Ghost of Tsushima, Where Winds Meet has an increased focus on martial arts. As a matter of fact, martial arts is pretty much what everyone in this game's world lives and breathes. You can practically learn it from anywhere, including from a goose fighting a bear, and I'm not joking, you can actually do that in the beta. And I've got to say, I was very impressed with the versatility as well as the ease of access in allowing you to customize your martial arts. You, of course, can master different skills and even upgrade them using a special skill tree, which is also pretty cool because it increases your damage. I believe it's called talent points that you need in order to actually upgrade the skill tree. And there are so many different skills that you can learn. Some of them include chi blocking, which you get early on in the game, as well as other skills that are tied to specific weapons. As a matter of fact, there's also a burst limit with some weapons like dual blades that allows you to do more damage, increases your attack speed, and allows you to mow down groups of enemies like a knife cutting cake. At the same time, the game has some very interesting moves in that you can literally run up trees Naruto style, which is something I was not expecting from a game like this. But then again, it is to be expected because martial arts people can do some crazy stuff, especially if they train well. I also want to mention that the game's world looks absolutely breathtaking, and you could tell that the devs put a lot of time into it. I rarely noticed any glitches, and I had a lot of fun traveling through the different environments. Now, just because of work schedule conflicts, I could only get through the prologue. I believe there's more content that came after the prologue ended in the beta, but for the first few hours, I really enjoyed it. One of the cool things that you can do is you could run across walls. Pretty much everywhere is scalable, and there's even a part where you can basically do some kind of ninja jump. I tried this when I fell to the bottom of a well, and my gosh, was it cool. Now, the game also has a very interesting story because it basically revolves around you trying to become a hero, and there are so many interesting characters you get to interact with. You've got this little girl named Ruby. I still am kind of confused on what her relation to the protagonist is, but she ends up playing a big role early on in the story and is one of your biggest motivations for carrying on into your grand adventure. Another character, which was one of my personal favorites, is Yi Dao, a mysterious character that you later find out is a hero known as the Killer Blade. This guy's got a gigantic scabbard on his back, and my gosh, is he a beast in combat. I will also say that the story got really emotional for me at times because there's a certain tragedy that hits the protagonist home, and you basically have to embark on an adventure to uncover the origin of it, while at the same time trying to better yourself as a hero. I will say that I wasn't expecting the twists at the end of the prologue, especially considering that you got all these ninjas you got to fight, you got loved ones that you lose. I mean, it's just tragedy all over the place. But at the same time, it was so good that it nearly moved me to tears. The game has a very interesting combat system in which parrying plays a big role, and this really came in handy fighting bosses like the Heartseeker, who literally has a giant death scythe that shoots lightning. You also fight another mysterious boss called Quan Yi later in the game that has a very similar but more expanded moveset, and the mechanics behind it look absolutely insane. I mean, once her health bar gets depleted in her first phase, she goes into the second phase where she literally gets a body double of herself with silver hair, and you fight her in some kind of spirit realm that looks crazy. I gotta say, it took me a few tries to beat her, because in her second phase, once her HP is down to about 50%, she pulls you into this realm that slowly saps your HP unless you guard, and she has some moves that, if you're not careful, can one-hit hit kill you. And I really love the challenge. It gave me some serious Souls-like vibes. Honestly, it kind of feels like a Chinese Elden Ring the way that I'm playing it. And another thing that I really liked is your ability to upgrade weapons. I mean, it really came in handy when I was losing to Quan Yi and I needed more powerful gear, so instead of just going out to buy some, I could take materials in my inventory and actually upgrade. The cool part is this applies to any weapon that you have, and it also goes for armor, accessories, even just random sashes. Speaking of sashes, did I mention that you can upgrade your medicine packs so you can heal faster? You usually have 2 gourds in the game that you can use to recover health, and this further increases the amount of health you can regain after you've lost some. Overall, the gameplay is just as good as the story, and I love the ease of access when it comes to you encountering enemies and bosses that are much harder to face. As a matter of fact, the game's world is so open that if you encounter an enemy you just can't beat, you can go exploring and continue to increase your skills until you beat them. There are also special trials you can undertake in order to increase your level cap that'll also yield interesting rewards and make it easier for you to upgrade weapons and items. I have a feeling the game's going to have a season pass when it launches because I kept getting ads for all these different kinds of cosmetics, weapons, and all sorts of other stuff that appears to be coming to the game in the future, and I've got to say the designs of it all look amazing. Overall, if I was to score this on a scale of 1 to 10, and this is big coming from me, I'd give this a solid 10 out of 10. While I didn't have a lot of time to play Where Winds Meet just due to some work schedule conflicts, I was super impressed with how this game played, as well as the versatility it had and the environmental traversal that it had compared to Ghost of Yotei. Now, I will say off the bat, I think this game could definitely compete with Yotei. Even better, I think it could outperform it. I mean, I'm sure Yotei is going to do somewhat well considering that it's made by Sony, but I've yet to see a lot of marketing behind it. And at the same time, we haven't really seen a lot of gameplay outside of the trailers. At the same time, there's a lot of controversy surrounding the game in terms of its historical accuracy, because Tsushima was actually based on actual events that took place during that time period. I will say that I'm going to be following this very closely, but right now I see Where Winds Meet doing extremely well, and I would encourage you guys to check out a video that IGN did on it a while ago in which they actually showed some info behind the scenes. They literally brought in Stephen Tungwai, one of Asia's most renowned martial arts instructors, to design one of the game's weapons. And I gotta say, the way that it plays looks absolutely incredible. You can tell they really wanted to provide their audience with the most authentic martial arts experience, just the way that this entire motion capture was made. And I would encourage you guys to check this video out because just the way they've made it behind the scenes is incredible. Now, in terms of the launch date, we know that it's going to launch sometime this year, assuming Everstone doesn't delay it. I'm predicting an August launch just because I think of Black Myth Wukong for some reason when I think of this game. Maybe because Wukong and Wuxia vibes, I don't know. But at the same time, it would be so ironic if this game launched anywhere close to Ghost of Yotei, as well as to see how well the game performs. Now, it's already out in China, and it's already gotten really good reviews out there, but it still hasn't launched anywhere else in the world. I can see it getting nominated for Best Action Game and Game of the Year at the Game Awards. Not sure about Best Narrative though, but it could potentially follow in Black Myth Wukong's footsteps in terms of what it gets nominated for. I mean, this early build is incredible, and I can't wait to see the finished product when it drops. At the same time, it's going to have some tough competition with Ghost of Yotei, especially considering that fans have been waiting for a Tsushima sequel for a while. And like I said before, there's been controversy surrounding this game in terms of its historical accuracy, as well as a few other things that, for the sake of time, I won't name. But at the same time, I'm curious to see how Yotei does, as well as how Where Winds Meet actually does. The fact that it's getting excellent reviews in China and has surpassed over 3 million downloads is an excellent sign, so let's wait to see how it does in the US before we make any educated guesses or jump to any conclusions. Now, I do want to mention something I didn't say before, in that Where Winds Meet is also coming to iOS and Android. We still don't know how it runs on iPhone in the US, but I'm very curious curious to see how it does run, especially considering that we've got games like Resident Evil and Assassin's Creed that have been ported to those devices in very recent months. But I want to hear your thoughts. What do you guys think of this game so far, and are you going to pick it up when it launches? Do you think it actually has a shot at beating out Ghost of Yotei? Let me know in the comments section below, and be sure to subscribe to my channel and tap the bell icon so you're up to date with all the latest gaming news and reviews. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the 10 Kingdoms when Where Winds Meet finally launches. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Mic Check XP YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And be sure to leave your thoughts and insights in the comments section and invite a friend to check out these videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you back here next week. Take care.